everyone. I hope you all are well and doing good. I'm your host, Bhairavi Joshi, Head of Marketing at Cyberfrat, and I'm really very excited to welcome you all to this insightful session of our Business Talk Fireside Chat series. And the theme is Beyond the Shield and presented to you by Cyberfrat Gold. So, as we all know, that Cyberfrat Gold is a premium tech community with a focus on securing connections, sharing knowledge, and strengthening careers. So, however, we believe that every day should remain a golden opportunity for learning through our various expert led sessions, our fireside chats, and few webinars. So, we also believe success is not just about reaching something or reaching a milestone or something. It's about the journey, the struggles, and the small wins, and the constant evaluation that shape the remarkable leaders and our members like you all. Okay, so initially we started these fireside chat series to recognize and celebrate the inspiring journeys of our Cyberfrat Gold members, individuals who have not only excelled in their careers but they also have contributed meaningfully to the community. So let's quickly move on to today's topic, that is focusing on building authority, women at the intersection of business, technology, and cybersecurity, with none other than Lakshmi Iyer, cybersecurity specialist within penetration testing, compliance, audit, software testing, with a proven track record in delivering secure and reliable solutions. She's also a CH, so LA and IMS LA certified. She supports PSI, DSS, VAPT, and ISO audits while driving end-to-end cybersecurity projects from scoping to implementation. She's also a passionate leader about continuous learning, thriving on mastering new tools and technologies to stay ahead in the evolving security landscape. And she also enjoys collaborating with teams to translate complex challenges into clear and actionable strategies. So without further delay, let's welcome Lakshmi ma'am.
Hi, Bhairavi. Hi, team. Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a good afternoon. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for joining me. I'm equally curious to learn more, to interact more with everyone within the Cyberfrat Gold membership. So it's been a very active community, and I've been part of it for the past 1 year. I have interacted with people across the industries, and it always keeps fueling our curiosity and passion for learning. So thank you for providing the platform. Thank you for having me here today.
That's absolutely great from to hear you from you, ma'am. So let's get started with the topic. So to set the context of this topic, I would like to have a small question. So what does building authority mean to you in today's business and cybersecurity landscape?
Yeah. So to me, authority comes when you have clarity, when there is consistency, and you put in your character to whatever you're doing. So earlier, when you talk about authority, it would mean that you know something, you are the master of something. And right now, the space that we are in cybersecurity, it mostly talks about how you take decisions at uncertain moments, how the team trusts you, how people trust you to take a good judgment at the time of crisis. So for me now, authority means bringing in clarity to whatever you do consistently and with character.
Definitely, that was something, a very great answer from your end. And today I'm going to learn a lot of things from you. So I'm noting it down. Okay, so apart from that, I just, add on to your question, like how has the intersection of business and technology has been in the past few years, according to you?
Yeah. So earlier, all of these were silos. You had your business, you had your technical teams, you had so your cyber teams. All of them worked individually within their own departments or domains, and you had a delivery where everyone was working one after the other. But right now the world is so dynamic, the cybersecurity space is so dynamic that you cannot treat each of these as silos. So now we are at a juncture wherein you need to have your strategy, you need to have your governance, you need to have your board with you right from the beginning of your activity till the completion of whatever you're doing. So And to be exact, I would say that the visibility of all these domains, whether it be business, whether it be technology, whether it be cybersecurity, everything has changed and it's now very vast. So we are looking at growing technology. We are looking at changing landscape every day. So the visibility, I would say, is by far is very large when it comes to all these domains.
Exactly. Also, as you said, that cybersecurity in IT domain is, changing rapidly. It is evolving and it's a dynamic field as per you, right? So, what were the defining moments that help you personally to move from being just a contributor to becoming an authority in this space?
Yeah. So see, when we talk about cybersecurity these days, I'm sure everybody would agree that it is not limited to IT. It is not limited to your business, because cybersecurity is kind of a way that you bring in into your life as well. So I had my defining moments throughout my life, if I could say that. Starting my career into software testing, I was fully involved in the technical side of things. And when you are at the beginning of your career, you hardly have any exposure to the other sides of the business. And right about the time when I had to, pursue my career more, when I had to concentrate on my career, I had to take a career break of 7 years. Now, that was, kind of, it threw me off the court, because, suddenly I was into something which I'd never known about, and bouncing back or coming back after returning after the career break was a great defining moment, because you know in 7 years your technical aspects of whatever you are doing changes. You see the world has gone much further ahead, and maybe you do not have the time and the energy to actually bounce back from to where you were before. So that 7 years, it actually taught me resilience. It taught me that I had to be adaptable. I had to take on whatever was thrown to me. And this field demands persistence from us. So being consistent in what I did, uh, or while coming back, while looking for internship opportunities, I was looking at a field that would spark the interest in me, and I saw that this field is very dynamic. So you need to put in some hard work to actually start in this field. That helped me propel my career further. And I have also worked with multiple startups as well as MNCs in my career. So that also helped me in the sense that when you're working with a startup, you have more visibility into what actually happens behind the scenes as well. So that gave me an overall view of what I'm getting into. And I would say that was kind of the turning point when it came to this cybersecurity career. And that is when I also understood that you know to have people trust in you, to have that authority to say that this is what has to be done, you need to actually know what is happening behind the scenes. So working with a startup really gave me that push.
Yeah, and I just vouch on what you said right now, that consistency is what is important, what we need while we start in our early career stage, right?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to quickly understand about your life. So early in your career, what was harder, like being heard, being trusted, or being taken seriously? Because currently it's my also, starting stage of my career, and I'm just realizing a lot of things right now. So how about you?
Yeah, so I would say being taken seriously, because sometimes even when you have the right answers, you need somebody else to validate what you say, and that was difficult, really difficult to trudge through, because you know what effort you have put into a situation, uh, and when you don't get the output for the effort that you've put, you can feel low. But I learned that the more you rely on your emotions, the more you are emotionally invested into the scenario, the larger the resistance is to progress. So that is when I decided to keep aside the emotions, to be prepared for whatever situations may come, to have that anticipation, of what all could be the scenarios. And over time, if you deliver consistently, people definitely, trust you. So yes, I have had situations where I had to reach out to my superiors for help. But you know, if you show your effort, I'm sure uh, they will also take that into account. So that has helped me a lot.
That's great. I think a great journey from you and a fantastic journey to look back upon. So, how did you position yourself, differently to stand out in a male-dominated industry, I could say?
Yeah. So when I joined the startup, as I said, I was put in a team. Like I was the only lady in the team. It was an all men team basically, because I started off with VAPT, and that is a pure technical domain, and you see very, I mean, less presence of women into that team. So but yeah, so there one advantage that I had was, I'm very vocal about things. So I understood that, even when you are in a purely technical team, being vocal and putting your point across has a lot of advantages when it comes to business, because when you're talking to non-technical stakeholders who are also part of the activities that you do, it becomes easier when you can translate all the, the technical findings with respect to the business, with respect to the impact, with respect to the risk, to the non-technical stakeholders. So communication was is my stronghold, and that is what I polished upon when I joined the team. So and as you said, being consistent. If you promise something promise to deliver, then you have to do it. So that builds the trust, and that is where you have that differentiation factor when you are within such a team.
Right. And I could say that authority isn't is not just about, being knowledgeable. It is about some sort of perception as well, right? So how did you build both in your career journey so far?
Yeah. So basically, see, when you uh, when you are a master of something, when you have the knowledge, that gives you great power to put across your points. However, when if you're not able to communicate properly, then the knowledge, will do only half the work. And what I have seen in my career is that people always remember when the way you perform under pressure. So if you are predictable, if you give them what they are looking for at the proper time, with the proper quality, and with proper accountability, then that makes a lot of difference. So one thing which I always did in with my team is to give the credit where it is due. So that actually helped, foster my relationship with my team. My team took me seriously, my managers took me seriously, and obviously it translates to the clients as well.
Perfect. So, how do we establish that credibility in boardroom conversations? Because cybersecurity has seen too technical or too boring, some sort of. Because even I'm not from a technical background, I'm from marketing background. So, in boardrooms, when we have to discuss these issues with our teammates or managers, so how do we establish that credibility at the first place itself?
Yeah. So basically, cybersecurity, as I said, it is not only technical. It is also like you have multiple factors like governance, risk. You have to talk business to the audience for them to take, for them to keep giving you that appreciation or to acknowledge you in the boardroom. So you need to understand, like basically, we have to read the room. We have to, give the board what they care about, which is the reputation, which could be revenue, which could be resilience in the business. So, and also, I believe that when you are, when you bring in empathy into whatever you do, empathy along with firmness, and when you're dealing with the board members, that will create, that will push your credibility.
I think that was a great answer from your end. Also, how can women leaders bridge the gap between cybersecurity and business outcomes? Because this question reminds me of something that each and every time we need to define those business alignment with cybersecurity. Sometimes we give priority more to business functions and not to cyber as such. Because even in my field, I do not give that priority to cybersecurity because it happens that it's okay that there's a file. I need to transfer that to my team, so I directly do it right away. I do not care that there's some sort of cybersecurity functions we need to take care about. So how do you manage that, particularly business and cybersecurity?
Yeah. So I think see if since it is not isolated, right? We need to have both. We need to be fluent, I would say, in both the languages. You should be able to speak to the technical team as well as the board. So you need to know that ultimately cybersecurity is about protecting something. So we have to know what we are protecting. We have to know what could happen if it fails and what decision needs to be taken. So I think by and large awareness is also a major gap that we face in this industry, because there are greatly technical people, there are people who are purely into business, but being the bridge between them is something which we don't see in many of the organizations. So having that bridge, it can either come from the leaders themselves, or it can come from people who are actually looking to get into this industry, because that is where I feel there is a lot of gap even now. So once that is bridged, I think we'll all be in a much better position when it comes to cybersecurity in our business as well as in our daily lives.
Perfect. And as rightly you have said that we should build a culture in the organization at the first place itself. Then that initiation is happening into the later to the teams, and then they follow that cybersecurity culture, that cybersecurity practices in the team, right? Also, what is the biggest mistake according to you that organizations make when they treat cybersecurity as a IT function and not just a business enabler? According to you, what are
I
the mistakes they usually make?
I mean, we see that in a lot of scenarios. So when we have our PAPT assessments, when we have the audits, we see that major domains or major departments which deal with very important data are not considered. So this happens very frequently, but I think again, it has to be the board, the senior management has to be made aware that these things, like these departments, do not work in silos. So a breach, whether it be with the HR department or say the finance department or the sales department, may have much more impact than what it has maybe on the IT department. So I think the assessment of your assets, your risks, and translating that perfectly from the board into each and every department while collaborating with the departments is what is missing. So rather than treating them as individual departments and looking at what only they control, we should also look at the intersections of all these departments. I think that is what is lacking in the current cybersecurity space.
Right. And I think there should be the proper language, which, as you said, that we should be fluent in both the languages while talking to the business leaders as well, and while talking to the CISOs or cybersecurity leaders as well, right? So, how do you translate or make a shift in both the languages while speaking to either the board and to the CXO level professionals as well? So, what should be the middle solution that we can cater in this issue?
Yeah. So, see, basically, you need to have that first and foremost, you need to have that exposure into both the technical and the business aspect of things to understand where you stand. Okay. And I think as women, we have that capability to understand or to say estimate or even predict where we stand, what is required, and what will be required to fix it. So I think we should bring that intuition into our into the cybersecurity industry. We should bring in our experience, and basically the underlying formula for that is to tell stories. So whenever I am faced with a technical situation which requires board approval, and I'm not able to convey to them, I go for two major things. One is the worst case scenario. What is the loss, maximum loss that we would incur if if a technical piece is not in place, and what would be the ROI if that is mitigated. I think these are two major metrics that the board will also look at. Uh, so once you are able to convey that to them, it is easier to bring them on board. So basically what they want from us is what could break. If it breaks, what is the worst case that we are looking at, or what is the worst scenario that we are looking at, and if we fix it, what is it going to be worth? So I think these three things will definitely bring them on board with us.
Absolutely right. So, additionally, to add few pointers to this answer, can you please share an example or a case study wherein you felt that cyber decision had a direct business impact and it created a value or something like that, according to you?
Yeah. So, we've had multiple scenarios where, you know, because we deal with organizations who are coming in for multiple assignments. Now, there are situations wherein we propose a technical solution to them, which they feel that is not necessary at that point in time because of so and so reasons. Now, what we tend to tell them at that point in time is, how having the technical solution in place is going to give them better productivity, or is there is preventing going to prevent them from being from coming under the scanner or the radar, or having some fine imposed on them. Now that will help them analyze the losses, and we've had situations where they have moved forward with implementing the technical solution rather than deferring it to the maybe next audit cycle or so. Another thing which we did within our organization is, earlier we used to have manual creation of reports, which translated into 5 days or so for creation of a report, for the validation, for the QA and all that. Now we kind of automated the entire reporting process and brought it down from 5 days to 2 days, wherein the entire report could be prepared in one day, and the administrative tasks could be completed in one day. So that considerably shortened our activity time, and we were able to finish our projects faster.
I think that was something really wonderful as time cutting and everything, the alignment of proper task and timing, it should happen on a day-to-day basis in terms of our organizational goals and everything, right? So, have you faced any moments where your authority has been challenged, or how did you handle it particularly?
Yeah. So, I mean, we all face such scenarios in our workplace, right? You have people coming in where, we've had situations where once you've started off with an engagement, you know, they come and then you have a discussion on the timeline, you have a discussion on what is to be done, you have a discussion on how many resources are to be aligned. So, when you have such discussions once the project is underway, you tend to actually spend more time and effort in solving those issues and then starting off with the activity. So I think whenever you have people coming in and kind of challenging the authority, we need to understand that it's ultimately it has to be an informed decision making. There is no place for personal feelings, or there's no place for you to step back at that point in time. You have to be clear, you have to be decisive, you have to communicate, and you have to build that trust. In certain scenarios, as I said, I have had my managers come in, but and support me for my decision. But at that point in time, I ensure that the ownership of that task remains with me, and not it does not get translated to my manager. So that is something which I think we can adopt, and that has helped quite a lot, because the people then trust you. When you have somebody backing you, they automatically trust you for your next engagement. So that has helped me quite a lot during the early years of my career.
And as we being leaders, trust is the most important factor that should happen in our day-to-day, task. And we have that trustworthy, feeling within our teams as well. So after which we will be able to put forth all the efforts which is required for that project or something like that, right? So my question for you would be, there are a lot of cyber threats and cyber risks happening around the world. So there is data protection threats going on, there is AI risk, there is deep fake frauds. So how can we, like, which risk to be prioritized and what are the priorities that we need to take care of? Because whenever, like for example, if we are managing marketing, so there is data issues. So like how can we bring that balance in between, and what risks to be prioritized first?
Okay, I think I would take a technical direction here, because even the standards for risk, they ask us to identify or to classify them according to the criticality, according to how likely they're going to be exploited, and what is it that you need to do in order to bring it back to the state it was. So when you have so many technical and non-technical risks around you, you need to identify what is it that you want to protect, you know seriously protect, and how to avoid being within the space where you're getting exploited. So I think we should continuously reassess where we stand. We should we should accept that all the risks cannot be eliminated, but at the same time, being in this space in the cybersecurity industry, there is a certain level of understanding that you have in order to protect yourself. I think we should spread that awareness with others as well, and be make more people aware that aware of the consequences of what can happen. And I think that will act as the greatest deterrent, and that will let us identify what is the risk that we need to prioritize. Even technically, the same applies. Like, you need to identify what is it that you need to protect, and if there is an issue, if there is an exploitation, what is it that you're likely to lose. So I think those two metrics will help prioritize what has to be fixed first.
Definitely. Also, ma'am, what are the biases that still exist at the intersection of leadership and cybersecurity? How can they be addressed importantly at the same time?
Yeah. So we can say that we've seen a lot of uh, the biases that are there, not only within the cybersecurity industry, but in the industry in general. Because you have people who say that unless and until you have say 10 years of experience, you cannot move into this role. That may have been the case before, but currently, in this fast changing world, you may be more competent than a person who has a 10 years of experience. Similarly, the leadership style that you may have. We traditionally we've had leaders who worked in a certain way, who handed over the responsibilities to each department heads, and it kind of trickled down to the lowest level. But now, with the startup ecosystem, with the fast training world, we have uh, people who are not waiting for the leadership to be assigned to them, but they are coming forward and taking up more activities, taking up leadership roles. So I think that is something which should be encouraged, so that the biases can we can level out the biases. And one of the major changes that I've seen is the career continuity gaps. So when I was trying to get back to work after a 7 year gap, it was very difficult to find technical roles which I thought I could fill in. But uh, of late, we have seen that many of the organizations have come up with, returnship specific programs, bringing in more women into the cybersecurity field, the inclusivity and diversity that we see within the organizations. I think the gap is slowly getting bridged, but we still need to do more.
Perfect. Also, what advice would you like to give to a woman struggling to move into leadership roles in cybersecurity in this dominated sort of field?
Yeah, so I think I'll take some examples from my personal
Sure.
journey here. So, one advice I would like to give not only the women, people who are actually trying to start off in this industry would be please do not wait for you to be 100 or for you to feel 100% ready, because we'll never be 100% ready for a role. We'll never be 100% ready for a set of skills that are required by the industry right now. So I think we need to start putting ourselves in leadership roles. We need to, you know, we need to convince ourselves first that we can be leaders uh, before waiting for somebody else to give us that title. And
Exactly.
yeah, so I think unless and until you start something, you're not going to feel confident about it. So I think we should just start off with whatever we have and see where it goes. And slowly that will also build the confidence in whatever we are doing. And one major thing that I felt when I started off was having the imposter syndrome. I still have it sometimes, and it is real. It is, we need
Right.
to acknowledge that as well. So we need to have something that will keep us mentally balanced, that does not drudge us down. That will, we need to have a support system that will push us when we are, not in our full capacity. But having said that, unless and until we put ourselves out there, nobody is going to, we are not going to be visible. So, in order to get recognized, you have to be out there. So, let's start. That's one advice that would give everyone.
Yes, amazing. So I should say that women have has that capacity to dominate the word dominate. So yeah. Also, apart from this, let's move on to your personal career and your journey. So how important is mentorship and sponsorship in building authority? Since our topic is around the authority and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, so fortunately, I have had people who filled both these roles for me in my cybersecurity journey. So when you have a mentor, they'll guide you as to with respect to building your capacity and your capability. They'll help you bridge the gap, both technically and in a non-technical role as well. But sponsorship is something where they advocate for you whenever you're even when you're not present in the room. So I've been lucky enough to have people who have been both mentors as well as sponsors. And I think as women, we should be seeking that from the support system that we have, because without mentorship, it is like you're completely unprepared. You may be visible, but you're not prepared. And without sponsorship, even if you have the capability, you're not visible. So you need both in order to move ahead in your career. So to those women out there who do not have or who have not thought of it yet, please find a person you feel that you connect to and reach out to them. And this is one field where I've seen that people are really helpful. They are not selfish, to use a strong word. They motivate you, they guide you. And I have had people from with varied experience guide me throughout this journey. So there are people to help. You just have to reach out to them.
Right. Also, what should organizations do differently to create more women leaders in cyber and technology field, according to you?
Yeah. So I think as you said before, women have the capacity to be dominant once they are really into a field. So I think we should have women should have opportunities to work in cross-functional teams early on in their career. We should have proper training imparted to them. So we should have more returnship, more second career options, if I may say so, because having gone through life as something that is unexpected, and because you've had to take a break from the career does not mean that you stand back. So I think we should have more opportunities. We should have women should be encouraged, even within the organization or even outside. And as I see a lot that we are our greatest supporters and the greatest mentors. So I think women should put in equal effort in bringing up their peer while being inclusive as well. So I think more training and more opportunities will definitely bring more women into this field.
Perfect. Also, let's just say if someone wants to build authority in next 12 months, I want to build an authority in next 12 months. So where should we start? Like where should women start and what is the first step towards it?
Yeah, so I think I have heard this more than I can say, and I did not understand what they meant at that time. So while trying to get into cybersecurity, I was always told find your niche and then you start building on it. But when you're coming into a new domain, you have literally no idea what your niche is. So I think, as I said before, finding a mentor is very important. You also need to, understand where you're what you're most curious about. Find a field which you like. You start working in the field. You build depth into that field. That is one major thing that you need to do. So basically your technical knowledge will push you to a certain extent, so you have to build that technical knowledge in whichever domain of cybersecurity you want to come in. And the other thing is visibility. So you have opportunities like what Cyberfrat is providing now, or maybe you have you have the meetups, you have knowledge sessions. So I think participation and being vocal is very important. So that is something which will propel what you know and what you are into the industry and make people take notice of you. And I think the third one would be, be involved, more involved in business and see what, is lacking in terms of business and cybersecurity. What gap can you bridge? What is it that business needs that cyber can provide, and vice versa? And lastly, you should have measurable metrics. So maybe, we are looking to have to take a certification in the upcoming 12 months. But just having that as a goal is not going to push us to actually get that certification done. So you need to have measurable goals, small wins that will boost a lot of confidence. And slowly, I think, slowly and steadily, you can build the career in this field.
Perfect. Also, stepping out from that comfort zone and stepping out from that barrier is what all women need. And we should have that much, more confidence in ourselves to, push ourselves and get involved in each and everything we are doing. So, yeah, I have learned a lot of new things from you, and it was really something, very great discussion I have did so far. So, yeah. My last question for you would be because we have more, 15 to 20 minutes left for this session. We are almost on time. So, what are the two, three non-negotiables for anyone who is serious about growing in this space, according to you?
Discipline is something which is non-negotiable anywhere. It Your life, your career. So the same applies for cybersecurity. Discipline is completely non-negotiable, especially when it comes to learning, because in such a dynamic field, you cannot, um, say that, okay, I've done the certification 1 year back. Now I'm not going to say do for anything further on it, or I'm going to use it to back my skills for the next 3 years. That's not going to happen in this field. So discipline in and learning is something which you require. Another thing is communication. You need to know what to, what is it that you want to convey, whether it is technical or non-technical, and how to convey it. That is also very important. And I think this field is, you know, you are constantly under pressure because the field is changing dynamically. So you are constantly under pressure. So you need to have a certain, level of resistance or resilience when you are under high pressure situations. And it is not going to help us if we are going to hide, at the slightest discomfort. So I think you need to be, resilient. You need to be courageous, and you need to be disciplined in this field.
Okay, all right. So, before moving on to the rapid fire round, my question for you would be, apart from the technical role, what are your hobbies, ma'am, and how do you keep yourself motivated, and what all do you do in your personal life, and what are the activities you perform daily? Any, exercise or something? What does keeps you motivated?
Yeah. So, I mean, this, I basically work from home. I'm doing a remote role. So, it brings in both, the luxury of having some time for myself, either early in the morning or late in the evening. But at the same time, it keeps me sedentary, and my lifestyle has become a lot less active than when I was actually traveling to office. But keeping ourselves in good health is something which comes before all the career, before everything. So yeah, we do, like, as a family, we do exercises in morning and the evening. We go for walks, and weekend is completely away from work as much as possible, I would say. So, having time with the family is completely non-negotiable during the weekends. So that's where we let off some steam from the work that's there throughout the week. So yeah.
Amazing, amazing. All right. So, okay, so let's move forward to our a quick rapid fire round. So, you just have to answer my questions within just a second, maybe. Yeah. So, okay. Authority or likability?
Authority. Likability fades.
Exactly. Okay. So, certifications or real world experience?
Real world experience, certifications, kind of, they'll give you a platform, but what you did before will definitely help you propel, your thoughts, your actions, and it'll translate into what you do. So real world experience.
Yeah, and certifications and real world experience is somewhat a different topic of discussion because a lot of debate is happening around these, questions right now. So, okay, so speaking or writing? Speaking, yeah. Risk taker or perfectionist?
Sometimes both, but more of a risk taker than being perfectionist, because I've tried being perfectionist early on in my career, and I understood that that's not always possible. So, and slowly, you know I found that taking risks gives you better benefits and gives you better satisfaction. So
Okay, all right. So, as you are a very great leader, ma'am, so one word that defines leadership in cybersecurity today,
res-
according. All right. Okay, so you are a coffee person or a tea person?
coffee, South Indian coffee, always.
Black coffee, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it was, amazing discussion today, and we had a discussion on a lot of new topics, and it was really great having to learn a lot of things from you. Being a leader and having that resiliency in ourselves is what important, is what I feel in this dynamic industry. Okay, so before closing on to this topic, my last question or just a closing note from your end would be, what does success look like for women and the intersection of business, tech, cyber in next 5 years maybe? So like when does a woman can call herself as successful in this industry, and what are the main five things she should consider doing this, getting this authoritative
So
role?
personally, I feel that success is not a point that it's not a state that we should try to be achieving, because it changes daily. At least for me personally, I tend to look at small wins as minor successes for the day, for the week, for the month, and I keep my goals measurable so that while I'm being consistent in the delivery, I can also be satisfied that I've achieved so and so. So that actually keeps me motivated. So I believe that you should consider all your small wins as your successes, and your failures as enablers of successes, because once you make some mistake, once you face a situation, you're definitely going to learn from it. So in the next 5 years, I would like to see more women come into this field. I'm sure, compared to what it was 5 years back, there are many more women leaders these days who we can look up to. And I think we should, promote, and we should bring more visibility into what women can do in this field, while being inclusive, and you know, while ensuring that everybody progresses in their own way in their journey. So I believe that success would be, in the next 5 years at least, to have more women in strategic positions, taking decisions about the products, the services, on how the industry should be moving ahead, and contributing maximum to the industry and its development.
Perfect. That was an amazing answer. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining in today and sharing some amazing insights. So, before closing on to this session, I will be uploading the complete recording of this session on our YouTube channel, on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. So make sure you also engage on that videos and all. So okay, all right. So stay tuned, everyone. Thank you once again for being part of this fireside chat. Until next time, keep learning, keep evolving, and keep building your own recipe of success. And thank you to all gold members who keeps on coming onto this series, and they share a lot of great things they have achieved in their life, their journey, and the new things they look forward to. Thank you so much, ma'am. Anything you want to say as a closure of this?
Yeah. So as I said before, I've been part of this group for the last 1 year, and to be very frank, before I interacted with Cyberfrat, I had kind of limited resources on both the technical and the non-technical aspects of cybersecurity. And I've, since I started using the platform extensively, it helps me in my micro learning time. So every day, maybe 5-10 minutes of one video. It actually helps, improve my performance both at my workplace, and in boardrooms where I have to give a suggestion, or where I have to voice my opinion. So thank you for creating this platform, and encouraging people to come forward, to express their views, to participate, to collaborate, and thereby improving the journey of each and every person who is part of this group. I think that's really commendable. And thank you for providing such a platform. Once again, thank you for inviting me here. It was lovely talking to you. And as I said, I love meeting people. I love talking to people. So I also had a good time, discussing all this with you. Looking forward to more collaborations and more meetings in the future. Take care.
For
Bye.
sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. Bye. Take care.